Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex or Nuznuz here, and today's video is going to be focused around the release of Runescape Mobile. Yes, Runescape Mobile is releasing on June 17th for Runescape 3, and the release of Runescape 3 on mobile is going to be huge for our community, and if you play mobile already, or have been on the fence about whether you should try it or not, you can use the pre-registration link in the description and you'll get a ton of free rewards when mobile is released. And the more people that pre-register for RuneScape Mobile, the more free rewards are unlocked for everyone. So I have actually been someone that has used RuneScape Mobile throughout the beta, and I have made a video on it in the past, but something that I've never really done on RuneScape Mobile is try bossing. So I thought, what better way to get the excitement flowing about RuneScape Mobile's release than to try 3 different tiered bosses on RuneScape Mobile and see how it goes and see how PVM really is. So in this video, I will be trying, like I said, 3 different bosses ranging from low level PVM all the way to high tier PVM. So we are going to be heading to the God Wars dungeon to Armadill's lair to give Kriara a try. Then we will travel to the heart and take on Saren's own Weir. Finally, we will be heading deep into the depths of Araxi's hive and taking on the spider menace herself. So make sure to leave a like on the video and let's start off by heading to Kriara. Alright, so let's take a look at Kriara on mobile. So for my setup, this is the gear I used, and for my inventory, I just used the basics prayer, and then I had penance aura, so I really didn't need much prayer, and then I had overloads, enhanced Excalibur, adrenaline urn, spring cleaner, and a little bit of food. I have an in-depth AFK Revolution Kriara guide that I'll link in the description, but I thought I'd show my setup just for this video. So doing Kriara on mobile actually felt super good. It felt like mobile was made for this. So when I went, all I had to do was basically turn on my quick praise, and your action bars are kind of on each side of your screen, and you can change them and set them how you'd like. You are using Revolution, which your Revolution bar shows that it's active. So I was basically using a Revolution bar, and then had a few other bars on each side of my screen that I could click if I wanted to eat food, drink prayer, or things like that. It felt really nice, so it just felt like it was made for mobile because it's such an AFK thing to do, and I feel like I'll be doing this a lot in the future on mobile just because of how, simple it was to set up and do. The kill times, they were pretty decent, around 30 seconds, 40 seconds with Revolution. So all in all, I mean, God Wars 1 is definitely doable on mobile, even if you don't AFK and you need to input some things. The interface with the action bars on both sides really are nice and fit these lower end bosses where you don't need a ton of input, but you might need to drink prayer, use an Excalibur, pick up loot, things like that. It's really streamlined and really good for a low level boss like this. So I really enjoyed doing Kriara on mobile for the first time, and yeah, it was pretty good, and I'll make sure to link the guide in the description. So next we are moving on to the medium tier boss, which is Weir. Now for a boss like Weir, I knew it wasn't going to be as easy as just having an AFK Revolution bar like I had for Kriara at God Wars 1. So I took my usual gear setup out, and as for my abilities, luckily on mobile they have a nice interface that allows you to swap around abilities on your 2 action bars that are on each side of the screen. I used this to add a few defensives that I knew I would be needing at Weir. I also used it to move certain abilities around to where I like them and have certain ones close together. For instance, I put my shield and the resonance ability right next to each other because since there's no keybinds on mobile and it's basically relying on you just pressing your screen with your fingers, I knew having those close together would make for an easy use of the ability. I really do like how they have all your abilities in one spot, so you can scroll through and add what you want to your ability bars. However, I do wish that they had the inventory or equipment here so I could easily drag stuff to my bars from there, but it's not a big deal and we ended up doing it another way. So now that we have our action bars set up, we are going to go and take on Weir. So when it comes to taking on Weir on mobile, I knew it would be much more difficult than God Wars 1. With Weir, you need to make use of the resonance ability, prayer switching, shield switching, and some other defensives. You also need to move around more to avoid the poison mushroom clouds that Weir spawns. So through my first few kills, it wasn't too bad. It went usually how it goes on the PC, and I ended up being able to use my defensives pretty easily. The only part where I would sometimes mess up is when I would swap to my shield, I would sometimes misclick. But this wasn't the fault of the mobile interface, and it's more of a muscle memory thing for myself, as I hadn't really got used to using the mobile action bars yet. As I got going and killed more and more Weir, muscle memory started to kick in for me, and it ended up being really smooth. I was getting around 50-second to 1-minute kills with this setup. The only thing that was a little difficult for me was to switch back to my inventory to swap my weapon or drink an adrenaline potion. Now I could have put these things on my action bar, but since you have limited space, I didn't want to go and clutter it up. And after a while, I got used to clicking my inventory, and it really wasn't a problem at all. The only thing that I see as a downside is it hides your right hand action bar when you open your inventory, so if you have any super important abilities, I would recommend having them on the left side of your screen. All in all, this went really well, and after a while it wasn't that much different than playing on the PC, and I really enjoyed the mobile experience. Maybe in my next college class, I may have to sneak some Weir solos in between lecture slides. Now we are going to be moving on to our toughest challenge yet. We're going to be going to fight a Raksore. Now, Raksore is a high-level boss that is not a cakewalk whatsoever. I knew this is going to be a really tough challenge, especially on a platform that I'm not used to, like mobile. But the thought of being able to hop on and do some Raksore while on the go on something like mobile had me intrigued. So I started crafting some ability bars with every defensive I would need, and I wasn't so much focused on damage as I more just wanted to have all the abilities there so I could easily survive and navigate to anything I needed during the kill. Finally, my bars were crafted and it was time to travel to a Raksore. I actually ended up trying the darkness path first, and the trouble I had there was the interface that pops up to dodge Rax when he rams into the wall. The arrows you have to click are very, very small, and I tried swiping at my screen instead of pressing the arrows and it didn't work. So I'm assuming you have to press them, but they are just so tiny, so I think this is something that Jagex can make bigger and it'll really help when doing this path on mobile. I then realized after looking at my bank that I needed a middle leg piece, so I decided why not to focus my attention towards the acid path. And it went pretty smooth at first, and then we had a few mishaps. But after a while, I really started to get the hang of mobile more and more after doing all the previous bosses, and it felt like a more natural way to PVM only a few hours into using it. I had no problem dodging a Raksore's swipe and basically dealing with all his mechanics. The little circle walk indicator that appears on the floor when you walk is really helpful on mobile, so you can see exactly where you're going when pressing to walk. Now we would be moving on to phase 4, the last phase of a Raksore, which would be my biggest challenge. The prey switches were really smooth, and I was able to use something like Devotion and pretty much avoid all the damage. The end of the kill went really smooth, and I actually ended up getting a 4-minute 15-second kill, which really surprised me for my first mobile kill. I also didn't have my Saren Godboat or anything like that, or Reckless Aura, so thinking about all those aspects, it was a pretty good time. And then in typical Nuz fashion, we loot the kill, and we get a leg piece on our first mobile kill. My gosh, the mobile luck is real, guys. So now we've taken down Kriara, we've taken down Weir, and finally Araxi. So how do I feel about PVM on mobile? Well, PVM on mobile is possible. and good at low, mid, and high tier PVM. In terms of low tier bosses, it should be really easy on mobile, and mobile really finds its place for these types of boss encounters when you're doing lower level bosses. When it comes to mid-level, it was pretty good as well. I could easily see myself going and doing Hellweir Hour or 2 on mobile, or even something like the Magister. Finally, when faced with the highest level bosses, although it was a bit hard to get used to at first, I can confidently say that it is possible and pretty viable to kill a Raksore on mobile. Now, the biggest question for high level PVM is if you want to put in the effort and time to learn and get used to PVM on mobile. Just think, when you first started PVMing on RuneScape on the desktop, it took you a while to get used to your keybinds and everything like that. Well, mobile is the same thing, and I had a lot of fun on mobile doing PVM and will definitely be trying more of it in the future. Now remember guys, RuneScape Mobile releases on June 17th, and the more people that pre-register, the bigger rewards you can get. The next reward is the Cruise Aqual Armor, and then after that, the 7-day 50% XP boost. So make sure to pre-register and get the rewards by using my special link in the description, and I also want to thank Jagex once again for sponsoring this video, and I will see you all in the next video.